We're going to start cooling down as we move towards the weekend. Today, temperatures reaching the 80s and 90s. Will still be fairly warm tomorrow and even on Thursday, but by the weekend, temperatures will have cooled significantly. You saw some of that low cloud coverage in the live camera there we were looking at. Visibilities have been kind of up and down through the morning. Now down to a mile in Fallbrook and in Chula Vista, down to a mile and a half in Otay. Clouds are as low as 200 feet this morning, and that's helping our visibilities drop. We could even be seeing lower visibilities in between reporting stations. So keep that in mind as you head out for your morning commute. Temperatures right now largely in the 60s closer to the coastline. We're at 65 in Escondido, 68 in San Diego, 66 in Encinitas, and 65 in La Mesa. But we're in the 70s well inland at 72 in Alpine, 71 in Pine Valley, and 75 in Julian. This afternoon, temperatures warming into the 80s and 90s, but we'll still hang on to the 70s close to the immediate coastline. It'll be 78 in Coronado and La Jolla, but 80 in San Diego, 89 in Lemon Grove, 95 out in El Cajon. Also 95 in Poway, 97 in Valley Center, 100 degrees in Ramona this afternoon. We'll also top the triple digits in Campo and Borrego in the mountains today, 89 for Palomar Mountain, 94 for Julian. If you're headed to the coastline, we have fair conditions for you surfers. We have a south-southwest swell of 2 to 4 feet. High tide coming around 9:15 this morning, but be careful because there is a moderate risk of strong rip currents developing off the coastal waters. Coming up in just a bit, we'll talk a little bit more about the cooling trend as we head towards the weekend. But first, we want to get you caught up on traffic.
Tuesday.
Well, we're waking up to low cloud coverage this morning. When I say low, I mean low. Clouds down as low as 200 feet. We're looking live in Fallbrook, and that's where the clouds sit right now. That shallow marine layer is going to clear very quickly out there this morning. We will see temperatures bumping up to the 80s and 90s today, 1 to 6 degrees warmer than yesterday. But today will be the warmest day. We will be cooling down through the rest of the week. Temperatures this afternoon, again, reaching the 80s and 90s for most locations, topping the triple digits even out in Ramona, Campo, and Borrego. We'll get to 95 today in Poway, 90 in La Mesa, 98 in Alpine, and 91 in Fallbrook. Closer to the immediate coastline, temperatures remain in the 70s and 80s. So temperatures warming again as much as 6 degrees over what we saw yesterday. We'll see that warming in Otay. 5 degrees warmer in Chula Vista, Encinitas, and Ramona, and up 4 degrees in Mira Mesa and Alpine today. Temperatures now 3 to 10 degrees above average for this time of year. 10 degrees above where we should be in Alpine, 8 degrees above average in Kearney Mesa, and 3 degrees above average in San Diego. But we will be cooling down significantly heading towards the weekend. Today, very hot in the deserts, topping 110 degrees, but by Saturday, dropping below the triple-digit mark. Let's get a look at that 7-day forecast. The cool down will be a little bit more subtle at the immediate coastline, but for our inland spots, we'll be at 95 today, just 82 by. Look outside here from San Diego at the coastline. You can see we're just socked in with that low cloud coverage. Coastside today, well, we're in the 60s right now, 80 degrees by noon, which is 2 to 5 degrees warmer than yesterday, and pretty mild later this evening, around 76 degrees at 5 p.m. Let's take a look at those current visibilities because we're still seeing visibilities down under a mile in spots, down to a half a mile in Fallbrook, down under 2 miles in Otay and Chula Vista. But again, visibility improving now as the clouds are starting to clear away from our inland spots. So we're going to see clearing between now and I think about 9 o'clock. The computer model shows some of that cloud cover lingering at the coastline, but I think it'll lift shortly thereafter. Temperatures today will be warmer than yesterday, climbing to the 80s and 90s for the most part. We'll stick to the upper 70s though at the immediate coastline. It'll be 78 in Coronado and La Jolla, 79 in Mission Bay, 89 though for Lemon Grove, 95 in El Cajon, 100 degrees out in Ramona. So it's going to be pretty toasty in our inland spots today, again in the 90s. For the most part, the mountains also reaching the 90s in Julian, 94 there, 101 in Campo, and 110 in Borrego. Coming up in just a bit, we'll talk a little bit about the cooling trend that we're going to see through the rest of the week and into the weekend. But first, let's get you caught up on traffic. All right, let's take a look outside in San Miguel this morning where the low clouds are already starting to clear away. The fog is going back to the coastline already, so it's going to clear fairly quickly this morning. We're talking by about 9 o'clock for most locations, leading to warmer temperatures today, largely in the 80s and 90s. We'll even hit the triple digits out in Ramona, 101 in Campo, 110 in Borrego, but 99 in Lakeside, 95 in Poway, 90 in La Mesa. Temperatures well above where they should be for this time of year, at least out in Alpine, will be 10 degrees above average, 8 degrees above average in Kearney Mesa, and 6 degrees above where we should be in Chula Vista. But this will be changing through the work week. Subtle cooling at the coastline, but more dramatic cooling for our inland valleys, mountains, and deserts in the coming days. Today still very warm, 100 feet. But again, it's clearing away. Temperatures today warmer than what we saw yesterday by as much as 6 degrees, in the 80s and 90s for the most part. As we move into tomorrow and Thursday, we'll start cooling down, but the cooling will be more dramatic into the weekend. Taking a look at our current visibilities, we're down to 3/4 of a mile in Fallbrook, where clouds are at just 200 feet. We're down just under 2 miles in Del Mar. We've seen these visibilities kind of going up and down through the morning, but the clouds are clearing away from our inland spots now, so visibility should be improving in the next hour. Temperatures right now in the 60s and 70s. We're at 64 in Fallbrook, same thing in Poway, 71 in Mira Mesa, 69 in San Diego. Out in Alpine, it's already 76 degrees, same thing in Pine Valley, and 74 in Julian. Temperatures today will reach the 80s and 90s for the most part, but we will stick in the 70s at the immediate coastline. It'll be 80 degrees in San Diego, 90 in La Mesa, 95 in El Cajon, 100 out in Ramona. We'll get to 91 in Fallbrook today, 89 in Rancho Bernardo and Mira Mesa, 89 also in Palomar Mountain, 94 in Julian, and 101 in Campo. If you're headed to the coastline, we have fair conditions for you surfers, a south-southwest swell of 2 to 4 feet, but a moderate risk of strong rip currents today, so keep that in mind if you're headed into the water. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about that cooling trend. We'll take a look at your weekend forecast in just a few minutes, but first let's get you caught up on traffic very quickly as well. We're going to be in the 80s, 90s, even the triple digits today. 100 degrees out in Ramona, 101 in Campo, 110 in Borrego. We'll hit 99 in Lakeside, 95 in Poway, and 90 in La Mesa. Closer to the immediate coastline, temperatures will be in the 70s and low 80s, but still well above where we should be for this time of year. 8 degrees above average in Kearney Mesa, 6 degrees above average in Chula Vista, and 10 degrees above average in Alpine. That's certainly going to change, though, as we move towards the weekend. The next couple of days still fairly warm inland, but look at Saturday, dropping to 82 degrees. The deserts, an even bigger drop, will be around 110 today, down to just 99 on Saturday. So a big cooling trend as we move toward the weekend. It'll be a little bit more subtle at the coastline, cooling down just slightly each day. But look at the drop from today, 95 degrees inland to 80. Let's look outside live this morning from Palomar Mountain, where we have crystal clear skies. The low clouds have cleared back to the coastline. So for our mountains today, we're going to hit the 90s. It's going to be fairly warm. 75 right now, 90 by noon, 86 at 5 o'clock, and we'll see wind gusts up to 20 miles per hour later today. All right, so here's a look at our current temperatures. Oh, they bumped up even more in the mountains. 79 for Julian, 78 in Palomar Mountain, 80 out in Pine Valley already. Closer to the coastline where we've had that marine influence, temperatures are a little bit more mild in the 60s and low 70s right now, but that is going to change this afternoon. We're going to see temperatures reach the 80s and 90s for most locations today. Closer to the coastline will be in the upper 70s in La Jolla and Coronado. It'll be 80 in San Diego, 90 in La Mesa, and 95 in El Cajon. 100 degrees in Ramona today, 97 in Valley Center, 90 in San Marcos. It'll be 89 in Rancho Bernardo and Mira Mesa. Up in the mountains, again in the 80s and 90s today, 110 out in Borrego, 101 in Campo. If you're headed to the coastline, though, keep in mind that we have fair conditions for you surfers, but a moderate risk of strong rip currents off the San Diego coast. So if you're not a strong swimmer, you're going to want to stay back or even out of the water today. Coming up in just a bit, we're going to talk about a big cool down in the 7-day forecast. I'll show you how low temperatures will go. But first, let's get you caught up on traffic. Away this morning, we're looking live at San Diego at the coastline. You can see some of the blue sky peeking through. We still have a sliver of fog near the coastline, but again, it's going to clear fairly quickly. Temperatures today warmer than what we saw yesterday. By the afternoon, we'll be in the 80s and 90s for the most part. Even the triple digits out in Ramona at 100 degrees there, 101 in Campo, 110 in Borrego. At the immediate coastline, we'll see temperatures in the 70s and low 80s, in which temperatures today up 6 degrees. As much as 6 degrees, I should say, over what we saw yesterday. We'll be 5 degrees warmer in Poway, Encinitas, and Ramona, and 6 degrees warmer in Otay, up 4 degrees in Mira Mesa and Alpine, and a couple degrees warmer up in Julian. That brings our temperatures to 3 to 10 degrees above average for this time of year. In Alpine, 10 degrees above average, 8 degrees above where we should be in Kearney Mesa, and 6 degrees above average in Chula Vista. But this is all going to change as we head towards the weekend. Take a look at our temperature trend for the deserts. Around 110 today, but just 99 on Saturday. We're going to cool pretty significantly everywhere except the immediate coastline, where the cool down will be a little bit more subtle. But our inland spots, 95 today, just 99 on Saturday, and 97 on Sunday. All right, let's